All right, it's live.
Salakia, will we be able to go to the screen?
Yeah.
All right, Most High in Christ. So we live now? All right, this is the Israelite School of the Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commander General Yohana. And we have been called to teach the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that we are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And tonight's class is the Brotherhood Class. And there's a lot of holidays, that are passing, that are coming up, this, that, and the fourth. But, this Thursday is Thanksgiving. I almost said Halloween. But this Thursday is, Thanksgiving. Salaki, it's two of them. So if you go to the other one, if you wanted to go to that one, it is still work. I'm not sure why it's only on that one. But Salaki, so
why is it showing like that for Delaware?
I'm not sure why it's showing for that. But maybe we can go to ISUPK online classes. You have to pick both of them. It might be having two classes. Salakia, y'all. We just got to get something straight. No sweat. All right, but Thanksgiving is something that people they love to celebrate, and every year we talk about this. But by now, after the mistreatment of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we shouldn't be concerned with celebrating Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the celebration of the North American Indians being conquered. That's what it is. It's not about coming together and celebrating, everything that you're thankful for, from God, because God has those high holy days in the scriptures that he's let us know that we can, partake in, that he's commanding us to partake in. So on one hand, you have it to where God is saying that I want you to keep these high holy days forever throughout your generations. He's commanding us to do it, and then we don't keep it. But on the other hand, the heathenistic holidays that are being celebrated, by our oppressor, we decided to celebrate those without having, any type of regard for what the Most High said. I'm gonna start off with a scripture, and then I want to read a little bit of something about out of this book that I'm gonna bring out. But let me get to it real quick, if I could. Salakia. Bear with me one moment. All right. So this is Revelations 11 and 10. And this goes with Christmas, Thanksgiving, and any other holiday that celebrates the demise of our people. And I'm going to get to it in the scriptures. Just give me 1 second. All right. So this is the book of Revelations, chapter 11 and verse 10. It says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. This is talking about them rejoicing over the fact that they were able to overcome them. Every single year that we celebrate Thanksgiving is the fact that the North American Indian was able to be overcome by an oppressor that has put our people in slavery, a people that has, raped our children, a people that has taken away our heritage, a people that has taken away our language, a people that has taken away every single thing that would make us a nation, that would make us, more than human, something that would make us whole. Because right now, Blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans are not whole. We live in the land of our oppressor. If you look at the way things are set up, we don't have the freedom that we should have. The only reason why you're allowed to do anything in this country is because the oppressor allows it. And it's not out of love. It's so the oppressor can make money. The scriptures say, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which means the love of money is the greed. So the only reason why you're able to do what you're able to do in this country is simply because the oppressor allows it so they can make money. The oppressor wants you celebrating a holiday that is the degradation of his people so that they can make money. Nobody buys turkeys throughout the year. I can't remember the last time, I bought a turkey, outside of Thanksgiving when I was in the world. There's nothing more just ridiculous than celebrating the and the sounds all good.
Yeah.
Most High in Christ. There's nothing more ridiculous than celebrating the demise of your own people. Revelations 11:10 says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. The oppressor is rejoicing over the fact that they've overcome us, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another. This don't that sound just like Christmas, which is coming up, which our people are going to celebrate, even though they don't make enough money to keep every single bill on. Even though we don't have enough money in our communities to make sure when something breaks that we can get it fixed. Like, if you live in an apartment complex, you know how many times you've had to go to that heathen landlord and ask them to fix something that just isn't getting fixed. There was a sister that was that had Child Protective Services called on her for roaches in her apartment complex when it was the landlord's fault. And when she asked the landlord to fix it, he dragged his feet. How come Child Protective Services isn't being called on the landlord? Because the mother is doing her due diligence. But we're going to go and celebrate their holidays. It is their holidays. We're not realizing that these are their holidays. Christmas is something that has been celebrated in the way it's celebrated now, but before Christ even died on the cross. I'll get back to the scripture. And shall send gifts to one another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on earth. All right, let me go ahead and read out of this book real quick from Michael Bradley.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Oh, Most High in Christ.
You got walking over.
All right, no sweat. All right, we can start at with the last paragraph. Because what we don't realize is we continue to celebrate these people's holidays, and the way they treated us today is the way they've treated us in times past. Right now, the Jewish man is over in Israel, and they're at war with the Palestinians, and it's being called a genocide. But before there was ever a genocide in Palestine, there was a genocide in North America, and we're about to celebrate and give credence to a people that have done the same thing over and over again. And I'm not separating the two. I'm not separating the United States from Israel. Salakia Adawan, if you could read that.
No sweat. This is out of the book Chosen People from the Caucasus by Michael Bradley. Jewish Origins, Delusions, Deceptions, and Historical Role in the Slave Trade, Genocide, and Cultural Colonization.
And if I could, just really quick, this is an oppressor that wrote this book. This is not something the ISUBK has written. This is something that we've known based off the scriptures, but for those who need a more carnal approach, these words should reach your ears and help you understand how evil this people has been to us. Salaki Adawan.
Many, this is page 17 at the last paragraph. Many of the conquistadors were Jewish.
So what that is saying is, when you hear about conquistadors that have destroyed all of Latin America in times past, when you hear about the conquistadors that have come over to, North America as well, you'll realize that these people were not only what we would call Caucasian white Americans today, but were also the Jewish people. Salakia.
And as such took part in the most brutal episode of genocide and extermination the world has ever witnessed.
So this is one of the things that the world, like, historians know how bad that this is, and it talks about it in the scriptures, because you have a historical point of view that is secular, and then you have a biblical point of view. You can trust that biblical point of view more than you can trust the secular, but you can see it is saying that this is one of the most horrific things to ever happen in man's history. And that's lumping up what happened to the North American Indians and the transatlantic slave trade. And Salaki, if you could.
No sweat. Has ever witnessed. Within a century of 1492, the Native American civilizations had been destroyed and the population decimated by enslavement, starvation, and disease. When Native American labor grew scarce because of genocide, Africans were forced into the New World tropics to slave in the mines and on plantations.
And Salaki, we can drop it right there if I could. I'm gonna read Daniel 9 and 12 because this talked about in this book that was written by an oppressor. He recognized the fact that this was one of the worst things that had happened in mankind's history. The reason why this oppressor is saying that is because he's done his research and he didn't have to fall under critical race theory. I believe Michael Bradley, if I'm not mistaken, he's no longer here. He's dead. But before there was a critical race theory, he was doing his due diligence and his research to find out about who he thinks is his enemy. And he brought unbiased research to the table. And he said that what's happened to the North American Indian and what has happened to us is one of the worst things that happened. And I believe in that book, it talks about how Christopher Columbus is the one who kicked off the two worst things that have happened in the world. But in Daniel 9 and 12, Salaki, I don't want, for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and read it. It says, and he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us. We're going to get into our judges, but what this is talking about is the Most High spoke against us and said, stop sinning, just to keep it simple. And the people that were over us, he spoke against them because right now, who's over us? Even though the oppressor is over us, we have, lifted up leaders that are absolutely ridiculous. Even though the oppressor is over us, we have lifted up people who literally have no regard for our well-being, who see what we go through every day. How can our leaders tell us to stop celebrating Thanksgiving and everything else if they're the ones that are going to participate in what the devil has given them? Daniel 9 and 12 says, and he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. The Most High said, stop sinning or you are going to be cursed, and the unimaginable is going to happen. It says, for under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. There is nothing worse that has ever happened to a people that has happened to us. And when I say us, I'm talking about Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We have leaders that are in power right now that have wealth, funds, who have even some sort of, what would I say, political, power as far as what they could get politicians to do or here and there, and they do nothing with it. If I could, sir, there's a video. If you will be able to play it, it's Kirk Franklin, and he's talking about it's the one where he calls Abraham a liar. I believe he calls Abraham a liar. If we could just play that really quick.
All right, no sweat.
Most High in Christ.
Dancing Strange?
No, I think I put two up there.
God still used to you?
I believe
God still use you?
That's it right there. Because the reason why, and I hear it over and over again, and it's confirmed every single time, like the Christian church is the reason why we celebrate the holidays that dishonor us. The North American Indian was slaughtered, but we're going to sit at a table and pretend that it's giving thanks to God, and God is looking at it like a disgusting holiday.
Whenever you're ready.
Con, sir, if you could, the water.
Abraham was a liar. Noah, an alcoholic. Job doubted God several times. Samson was promiscuous. David was a hoe and a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. Peter was embarrassed to let folk know he knew Jesus. Rahab, prostitute. The disciples. Abraham was a liar. Noah, an alcoholic. Job doubted God several times. Samson was promiscuous. David was a hoe and a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. Peter was embarrassed to let folk know he knew Jesus. Rahab, prostitute. The disciples often were weak, jealous of each other, and even fell asleep on Jesus the night he was arrested. The Samaritan woman couldn't even keep
Or isn't AI. Let's go to the next video. I believe this to be true. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. The essence of what this is this okay to be a sinner? That isn't AI. Let's go to the next video. I believe this to be true. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Salaki, if we could turn it. The essence of what this is yeah, the essence of what this actually is saying it's okay to be these things because God will still accept you. How can we stop from sinning against the Most High if we're going to continue to be in the lane that TD Jakes or Creflo Dollar or Kirk Franklin? Kirk Franklin, he gives off a Salakia, sir. Am I wrong in thinking that Kirk Franklin has a feminine spirit with him? Nah. Am I wrong in thinking that?
Nah.
Am I wrong in thinking that there is some sort of homosexuality that's written on Kirk Franklin's face?
Yeah, Kirk Franklin definitely is a homosexual.
Because the type of spirit that he brings to his followers is the fact that you can continue to live in sin. The fact that you can continue to be in a place where the Most High doesn't want you to be, but you'll be accepted by the Most High. But in 1 John 3 and 4, it says, whoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. You can't continue to go against the Most High. You can't be a homosexual and make it into the kingdom of heaven. The scriptures say that in the New Testament. You can't be a unaliver. You can't be a pedophile. You can't be somebody who is going to lead your people into damnation and think that the Most High is going to be okay with it. And if I'm not mistaken, every single person that he named in those scriptures had to pay for what they did. They had to pay some sort of, you know, from the Most High. The Most High had something happen to them to let you know that what they did was wrong. But if we could play that other video with him prancing around what looks to be in thick high heels, if we could, Salakia. The nerves that call somebody in the Bible a hoe.
I thought this was a reunion tour. You're supposed to be doing old school music.
Good night. Yeah, we can go ahead and stop the video. Good Lord. Like, how can we expect any sort of righteousness from, and I'm talking Most High's righteousness. How can we expect to be told the right thing from somebody that's going to prance around on stage with the spirit of an effeminate, you know, just money hoarding deviant? Like, he comes off as a sexual deviant to me. I don't know if it's too much that's come out about him. I know TD Jakes was said to have been at Diddy parties, so you already know what's going on with him. But you could see it written all over him. Yeah. If I
could, you know, that's I don't think there's really at this point in the game. I don't think that there's any pastors that's out there that's not either effeminate or just a straight up homosexual. That's not saying every pastor is effeminate or homosexual, but I would say the bigger part of the percentage of pastors that's out there today in 2025 is homosexual, or they have an effeminate spirit, because of course, like, the church is effeminate. You know what I mean? As a institution, it's an effeminate institution. That's why the killers ain't gone in there. You know what I mean? The niggas from the hood ain't going to church. Church is full of homosexuals and women. That's it. And the pastor, that's why he has flowers and stuff like that up on the altar. He dresses the way he dressed because that's for women. It's not for men, because a lot of these women that are in the church are single women. And these pastors understand that it's a scripture I wanted to pull. It's called Silly Women. It's Silly Women led Silly Women.
Led captive.
I'm gonna pull that up real quick.
Silly Women led captive.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get that for you.
It's the Silly Women. You know it's what I'm talking about, right?
Khan out of one Khan. That's I believe 2 Timothy.
Yeah, it could be.
Let me get that.
Salaki, I don't mean to hold you up.
No, you too wild. As much as you want to say,
and that's how these pastors are, and this is what the scriptures been telling us. Like, you know, every time I get up there and I teach, I always say that what the Bible does is it teaches us how to act in certain situations. It teaches us how to deal with other nations. It makes us whole again. You know what I mean? And one of the things, if you read the scriptures and you see the problem that Christ had, one of his biggest problems that Christ ever had was with the Sadducees and the Pharisees. You see what I'm saying? Because which would be the religious leaders of that time.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing today. It's these same dudes who get up there, and there's a lot of people that think Kurt Franklin is a man of God. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. Because this is perfect what you're saying. If I could, I'm gonna start at verse 4. This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, or Salakia. This is 2 Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 4. It says, traitors, heedy, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God.
Right.
Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof.
Right.
From such turn away. For this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins.
Right. Because remember, the church is always going to play to what you like to do. You know, like in the church, it's like it's like things that like I've been, asked or told from people that's in the church, like they don't see it as, they're not being taught these things that are wrong, because what church does is it caters to your lust, meaning like it's a 90-10 rule, right? 90% of what you want to do, 10% tithes. You see what I'm saying? So the trade-off is always going to be better, because if you're telling me that God loves me no matter what I do, that's giving me the 90%. All I got to do is pay you 10, and you're giving me what I want. Right. You're giving me the type of God that really would relate to the kinds of sins that I like to commit. Then this is the church that I should go to. You see what I'm saying? And that's the trade-off. Right. And so this is why they creep into silly women's houses, because think of this, and I don't want to take up too much of the time, but think about this. Why is there so many? Why when I see a guy that's a Jehovah's Witness, I immediately know that his wife answered the door. See what I'm saying? Like while he was at work, his wife answered the door and let these Jehovah's Witnesses in. They then told her about all the wonderful workings of Jehovah. And now when he comes home, she says, hey, I was talking to these very interesting ladies or these people today, and they was telling me about all of this stuff, man. I think we should go check it out. And him being, the supportive husband, happy wife, happy life, he goes down to one of the meetings to the Kingdom Hall. And next thing you know, both of them standing out there, on a street corner telling people about Jehovah's return.
Right.
But that scripture, says it all right there.
Khan out of one Khan. This is perfect, because they're like you said, like the church is for, women, and it's for effeminate men at this point. And there are older people that have, stayed in the church and decided that, you know, this is where it's supposed to be. But there's not a place that you can go right now on this earth that's going to give you the truth like ISUPK, because even the fake Israelite groups are turning into the Christian church. And these people are traitors and high-minded and lovers of pleasure. They like you broke it down perfect. I believe it was a conversation, and I was like, wow. I said, why would these people decide to continue to teach outside of the truth that are in these Israelite groups? And you was like, because they want power. These pastors, they know they're teaching something wrong, but they want that power. They want those funds. And for the love of money is the root of all evil. I'm gonna go to John 8:44, if I could, because right now what we're seeing is our leaders are following the format of the rulers of this world. The rulers of this world are evil. The scriptures say the world has been given into the hand of the wicked. Who is actually ruling right now? Like Donald Trump sits in the seat of the leader of the free world right now. And wickedness is written all over his resume. You really want to celebrate Thanksgiving and act like it's a good thing to do with him? Like, Donald Trump has 34 felonies. Donald Trump was held liable for sexual abuse. Donald Trump is being accused of being a pedophile, and he literally sits in the highest seat of rulership on this earth right now. Whether you consider him to be a puppet or not, there is not somebody that sits in that presidential seat and they're not seen as a king on earth. But yet and still, just like they think TD Jakes is a man or I keep saying TD Jakes because him and Kirk Franklin are one and the same. Who knows what they do behind closed doors? Salakia. But Kirk Franklin, they're saying that he's a man of God, but how? What are you actually doing to show you're a man of God? Saying it is not good enough because you don't live it. You can see by the clothes that you're wearing, by the movements by the spirit that you have on it, you don't live it. But if you can just look into the scriptures and see what they're saying in John, you'll understand that even though Kirk Franklin might be a liberal, he's still following his father, the devil. And I'm gonna get some. I'll go ahead, sir.
You know, if I could, it goes back to like what Christ was saying about, you know, if you were of the world would love his own. Like, this is why, you know, Donald Trump is the president, because he's of the world. Like, he's a great representation of what America is today.
Right.
This is why, like, the old way of politics, it doesn't work anymore, you know, because they didn't have anything for Donald Trump. You see what I'm saying? So he represent how America is today. The same thing with like what's his name? The dude that's dancing.
Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin. And this is why he's accepted, is because he represents America today.
Right.
2025 is lust filled, is very you know, accepting of all types of things. You know, there's nothing really bridled in the Christian religion. Everything is pretty much do as thou wilt. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And you know, and so this is why these people are in a place where they're at, because the world loves its own. You know what I mean? So, you know, to see you know, Kirk Franklin and, you know, with all the stuff coming out. I mean, I remember the general brought it out that he talked about his he had a porn addiction, and he talked about
I do remember that.
Yeah, he talked about how he drove like I think it was like all these miles away. I don't know how many miles it was. Don't get me just saying anything, but I know it was a long way. And they throw his porn away, and he threw it away, and he went home. And I remember the general said, "What do you think he did when he got home?" He turned around and went all the way back, got it, and went back and took it back home. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, Christianity does not have the answers that you need or the tools that you need to be equipped with to fight those demons, because they don't have the truth and they are of the world. You know what I mean? Slagia.
If we could just read that real quick, because
the book of John, chapter 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father, the devil.
Ye are of your father, the devil, means that person that's over you, you're doing what they want. Like a son wants to be just like his father. Like it was like a lot of fathers don't even understand the way that their sons see them. And this is on the other hand, just to explain what this is. When you have a son, you're like a superhero in his eyes. But if you turn it on the flip side, all the evil and the wicked that's going on earth from these leaders, our oppressors, the devil, our people want to be like that because they're like a superhero in their eyes. They do all these things on earth and no punishment comes to them. They have riches that are unimaginable. When I take, road trips and I have to go places and I have to, pass by certain, neighborhoods, I see the wealth of these people. The wealth of our oppressor is something out of a movie. It's something out of a movie. You got people that have 4-car garage. I don't even want to say 4-car garages because that's light nowadays. But you have people that have millions and billions of dollars, and the way they got it was just pure evil. They're a person that is involved in, pedophilia. But Salaki, if we could read that one more time from the top, sir.
John 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do.
The devil that it's talking about is this oppressor on earth. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about somebody that is under the earth in fire with a pitchfork and horns. That's not what it's talking about. What this is talking about is they were in Rome, correct? They were in Rome. And what it's talking about is at that time, there were Israelites that were doing the bidding of the Roman Empire. So right now we have our people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and they're involved in ICE. They're involved in the police force. And I noticed it's some, black, Hispanics, and Native American brothers that may be police, and they're going through it because they're conflicted. But there's a lot of our people who decide to do the will of their father, the devil. And if you celebrate Thanksgiving, you're doing the will of your father, the devil. There's no reason for you to like black people make up so many crazy things. Like we make up the most interesting, like whether it comes to dance, music, this, that, and the fourth. We can't come up with something of our own where we're going to have like just a big event where we do a tailgate with just 1,000 chicken wings. We can't do something to where we have something great to where, and it's not rooted in the destruction of our own people. But no, we decide that, this oppressor gives us a day off on this day. We're going to do the will of our father, the devil. I want to read something to y'all because I was doing my research on the heroes of this oppressor. And I'm going to read a couple of them. Let me see if I could find what I put in my notes. If I could really quick. Let me see. You got Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great in the scriptures, he's talked about as somebody that's horrible. Alexander the Great was a homosexual. In history, from a Caucasian perspective, they think of Alexander as just some great hero. You got Columbus, who is literally the one who kicked off the destruction of the North American Indian and the slave trade. You have Davy Crockett, who is seen as some, adventurer that conquered the great outdoors, but really Davy Crockett was fighting for white supremacy, and he was unalived at what's that called when Mexican and blacks got together? The Alamo. Davy Crockett was turned into a pack at the Alamo by blacks and Hispanics who fought to make sure they didn't have slavery in Mexico. And then last but not least, you have Emperor Nero. Let me read you a little bit about Emperor Nero. And this is who history deems as some type of great man. The Roman Emperor Nero had a young slave boy named Sporus that was castrated, and then he married him in public at a ceremony and treated him as a wife. This is something that is documented in history. It says this occurred around 67 AD, a couple years after the death of his second wife. So if you see the date that's there, it says 67 AD. The Roman emperor knew of Christ. If you're in Rome, there's not a person inside of Rome that didn't know about Christ, because they had to have known, because you have Rome taking over Jerusalem. What was it in the scriptures when David said, I have it on my shirt, remember the children of Edom, and I'm paraphrasing, because the children of Edom came through and they desecrated the Lord's people. And then this man, 67 years after the death of Christ, decided to have a boy castrated, and he decided to marry him publicly. And if you look at what's happening now, the spirit of this oppressor is still alive and well when it comes to this type of activity. It's called pederasty. And Epstein Island is a part of it. Donald Trump is a part of it. Like the leaders that are oppressors that are set over us, we follow these people. Let me get more scriptures about what we have going on. Salakia. Let me see. Let me get if I could. Let me get Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Yeah, 8 and 11. Because I've thought about it over and over, and I was like, and I was thinking, like, when I was in Florida, I went on this. I was in Miami, and there was this boat tour that me and my rib went on, and the announcer on the boat is pointing out all the houses that are on there. I believe he mentioned Fat Joe. He mentioned, like, I believe Adam Sandler. He mentioned Puff Daddy, and I believe at that mansion in Miami is where a lot of wild stuff with Puff Daddy happened. But that's just a mansion amongst many houses that is on that that waterfront in Miami. But Diddy is the one who was mentioned throughout the news for weeks and months. Puff Daddy is the one who was mentioned and looked at as, one of the greatest sexual deviants of our time. But if you look at it, just like in John 8 and 44, he was just trying to be like his father, the devil. I'm certain that Puff Daddy knew about Epstein Island. I'm certain about it. Politicians, high-ranking people in the church, movie stars, music stars, they running around the same circles. Diddy just wanted to be like his father, the devil. And you want to know why he thought he could get away with it? Because for a time, Epstein was getting away with it. And in our minds, we think just because punishment doesn't come, we think that, we can keep doing it. But I don't know if y'all ever heard this. What happens is if you go and you try to steal from Target, they continue to let what you're stealing add up to a felony before they get you. They keep it on record. And the Most High, he sees what you're doing, and it just adds up until you can't sin anymore, until the Most High just comes and gets you. Some people he asks grace, but some people comes a punishment that they just not willing to accept. But if we could just read Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, Baba Kasha.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
We believe that just because the evil things that we have done in this world has not been met with immediate punishment, we think we can keep doing it. You think just because you going in that store and you stealing, and you're not getting caught. You believe that, you know, you can keep doing it. But if you look at it at a spiritual level, ISUPK is continuously telling you that you are not supposed to be celebrating these holidays. And you believe that your sin against the Most High is going unpunished. But there's coming a day where you will no longer be able to do that. Whether that's before or after Christ comes, that's up to the Most High. But before you're met with that punishment, before you're met with that torment, ISUPK is trying to tell you to do the right things, but our leaders aren't telling us to do the right things. You have our leaders like, what's his name? Something Jones, Vance Jones or something. I get mixed up because a lot of names are
from TMZ.
It's the brother that went and apologized to the Jewish man about what Kanye said. Let me, I think it's Van Jones. Let me look up his name and his credentials real quick, because Van Jones is of his father, the devil. Van Jones is going with the Israelis. He's going to celebrate what the Israelis celebrate, and he's going to celebrate what the oppressor celebrates, and he's going to get money. Van Jones has no idea the punishment that's coming to him if he doesn't turn away from his sins. But let me get his credentials real quick for those of you who don't know. All right. It says Van Jones is an American lawyer. He went to Yale Law School. Let me see. Let's see. Van Jones. What other? Let me see. Let me see. I believe he's a speaker with CNN, but let me just make sure. Let me see. I'll just read what he has. I don't want to speculate. It says Anthony Capel Van Jones, born September 20th, 1968, is an American political analyst. Okay, so yes, he does speak on behalf of the Democratic Party. It says he's an American political analyst, media personality, lawyer, author, and civil rights advocate. Van Jones is saying that he's a civil rights advocate, but he doesn't advocate really for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He advocates on the behalf of the Jewish man, because Van Jones, during the time of us being able to see exactly what this oppressor is doing over in Palestine, he's speaking on their behalf. We can't count on a leader like that to speak on our behalf because he's being bought by them. You can clearly see what he's being bought by. Like, you can clearly see by what a person is saying, what they actually represent.
Right.
How many more times do we have to let these leaders, just bamboozle us? At a time, it's your fault for being tricked. Like, at a certain time, you have to realize, like, who else do we have out there that's a black person that's speaking on behalf of Jewish people? Floyd Mayweather. We idolize Floyd Mayweather, Money Mayweather. But Floyd loves money so much, he's willing to overlook what the oppressor is doing, and he's willing to accept those funds and say that he stands with Jewish people. Those Israelis are not only, terrorizing the people abroad, they're terrorizing us too in our neighborhoods. I don't know if y'all remember, but they were going house to house in black neighborhoods and trying to force black people to sell so they could get their houses at a low rate, and saying they were going to turn their neighborhoods into trash if they didn't. A lot of those people, those small hats, were literally buying abandoned buildings and setting them on fire and lowering our property value. The reason why we have the ability to just go with an oppressor that is coming against us is because we don't have any self-identity. We don't have any true self-identity. Let me go ahead and get into these scriptures real quick, because I'm not going to hold us up too long for class. We'll be wrapping it up soon, but I want to read some of this, some of the things that are associated with Thanksgiving and what the scriptures have to say about it. Let me see if I could. If I could, can I get Habakkuk 2:12?
Habakkuk.
Habakkuk 2 and 12. That's a book that I don't normally go to.
All right, got it.
Most High in Christ. If we could just read that.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity.
Isn't that what happened to the North American Indian? Aren't the Israelis building a town with blood with everything they're doing over in Palestine? Like, I don't speak on behalf of the Palestinians. I want to speak on behalf of my people. But I could take that event and recognize that this oppressor is going to continue to do it. And you can say that America doesn't stand for it, this, that, and the fourth, yada, yada. But I saw Donald Trump with a yarmulke on. I saw it. Donald Trump spoke about how greatly Netanyahu used the weapons to destroy those people. You think he won't do it to you? Somebody with darker skin than the Palestinians? The darker you are, the more you're hated when it comes to white supremacy. The more you embrace your blackness. You know how people look at us when we have braids? I remember the first time I had braids when I first started coming into the truth. And I never realized what that could do as far as how people look at you. But I was followed around the store. Do you think that this oppressor isn't going to come down on you like they're coming down on our people now? Hell, they're sending Hispanic people over to prisons in Africa that have nothing to do with them. And you want to keep celebrating their holidays. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city in iniquity. We are supposed to separate ourselves from people that would do this to us. We are supposed to realize that this is something that is personal. Whatever you do to my brothers, you doing to me, but it's not personal enough. Imagine if somebody came and burned down your family's house, and as your family was trying to run out the house, they literally picked them off one by one with an assault weapon. And then they built a new house. And now every single year they remember what they did and they do a celebration. And now the whole neighborhood celebrates it. And this was your family. These were your cousins. These were your aunts. Are you going to be okay with that neighborhood celebrating that? And then it goes around the entire town and then the city and then the world. You going to be okay with that? The North American Indians are our brothers. Hispanics that are being caught up with ICE are our brothers. There's been reports that a lot of these people that are in ICE were members of the IDF. So they're bringing their skills and that violence that they had over there, and they're bringing it to our brothers and sisters. And then we want to be we want to be separate from our brothers and sisters that are suffering under ICE, because somebody like Tariq Nasheed said that it's that we should stick together if you're a foundational Black American. We got to cut out everybody else. Tariq Nasheed is being led by, or not even led, Salakia. Tariq Nasheed, his second in command is a tranny. This is what we're supposed to follow. Habakkuk 2:13 says, behold, it is not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for vanity. Did not us and the North American Indians celebrate the same plight in slavery? The Mexicans were put in slavery as well. There's history that is not talked about, but you literally had Mayan slave ships. You can look it up. We don't have to just keep on looking up twerking. Matter of fact, Salakia, because I want to play something at TDJ because it just reminded me. I was going to leave it alone. But we don't have to keep using our phones as something that distracts us from the world. Like, how many times do we have to just keep on medicating ourselves with syrup and weed and keep on looking up twerk videos and fight videos and rap songs and stuff about snitching, this, that, and the fourth, and we can't even concentrate on what is actually destroying us? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have to realize, just because you separate yourself from your people and you get money, what's coming to your children is what you tried to dodge. and try to align yourself with the devil is coming to your children. There are a lot of movie stars whose children end up becoming transvestites, homosexuals who want to commit suicide because you can't dodge it. You have to come back to the Lord. Let me see. Where did I want to go? If I could, do I have that other video with TD Jakes? I can just literally play what he said. I believe I can just play what he said. Salakia, let me see. I got to play this. And they couldn't tell that this man wasn't a man of God. I'm going to just go ahead and play it. This is TD Jakes' voice.
My lovely wife celebration. Stand up, honey. Sure, I did good.
He's telling his wife to stand up and to look good. And I don't know if
Put
this
it next to the mic.
put it. Can you still hear it?
No, yeah, next to the mic.
Kind of out of one kind.
You the finest grandmama I ever saw in my life. 5 kids, 9 grandkids, and still rocking it.
So this is even though his voice sounds a little weird, even though he seems like at any moment he's gonna have an outburst that says swallowed up, he's giving his wife, compliments. But then this is what kills it.
She can still talk for the Lord. Give God.
Did you hear what he said? He said she can still twerk for the Lord.
Still talk for the Lord. Give God a praise.
We have to literally start being smart enough and intelligent enough to know what's good and what's bad for us. And what's good for us is not what has been given to us over and over and over again. Y'all felt the sting of EBT when it was cut off from you. The devil's going to do it again. I hate to tell you. Y'all are feeling the sting in the military. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, our people have given our lives in the military. And now you have, what's his name? Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, who's creating all these different things that go against our natural, like when a brother shaves, a lot of times he gets hair bumps because our hair isn't meant to be shaved. The scriptures say, don't shave your beard. Don't cut into your skin. We also, when brothers have their hair low and we brush it, we get waves because our hair is naturally coiled and curly. I'm hearing that you're not allowed to have waves in the military. If you can't see the oppressor hate you by his actions, you're blind, you're asleep. And you have people who still want to speak against ISUPK, who get upset when they see a boot kiss. I saw some random posts about us doing boot kisses. I would much rather have an oppressor kissing my boots than hanging me from a tree in some secluded forest. I would much rather have an oppressor kissing my boots than pulling me over on the side of the road and pretending to be a police officer and kidnapping me and my family and having us in some warehouse tied up doing God knows what. I would rather have our oppressor in subjection than continually celebrating their high holy days that just mean that they got to rape, pillage, and destroy our people. Why can't we celebrate what the Most High gave to us? Is it so bad to listen to what the Most High had to say? We would be a lot better off. Except we can't because we've decided to follow the devil on earth. Let me see. Go ahead, sir.
And this is why the churches do such a disservice to our people, because we sell ourselves out for mac and cheese. Right. We sell ourselves out for cranberry sauce and turkey and the idea of just sitting down and having a meal. That's what we get sold out for. This is why we're not respected by any other nation, because if you got at least a short memory, you would remember when the SNAP benefits were turned off because the government was shut down. Well, during that time, I saw a lot of different posts on Instagram talking about that since the government wasn't open and they didn't want to issue the SNAP benefits, it was, F the holidays. It was a full out call to a boycott of the holidays. I'm talking about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, everything. They was on there telling Black people, don't go out and patronize none of these businesses
Right.
on Black Friday, or, you know, don't go to any of these supermarkets to buy Thanksgiving dinner, right? And then the oppressor, being the devil, they know what niggas is gonna do if they don't have SNAP benefits. They know that you are gonna go out to a Walmart and you're gonna try to steal all the food, because really deep down, all we really wanna do is celebrate Thanksgiving. And the oppressor understands that. That's why, if you look back at some of the classes I did, I actually said that they're going to open up the government, because I understand who the devil is.
Right.
And he understands who we are. So at this point, I haven't seen any videos about any blackouts for, you know, Thursday. Haven't seen any of that. Now it's right back on like it always was, back to his normally scheduled program. You know what I mean? And this is why we're not in control of anything. This is exactly why we don't have power. And this is exactly why, if we don't get ourselves together, we will be under the oppressor. And all of those things that you said about, you know, would you would rather get a boot kiss over? Those are the things that we are going to continue to have to see and deal with, because we sell ourselves out for mac and cheese.
Con out of one con. We like what Cap is saying is so heavy, and it's funny because I have dogs at home, and you know, sometimes when I have stuff going on in the house, if I have people over, I have to put them in a kennel, and it's a joint kennel that's big enough for both dogs. You know, one is a pit, one is a mastiff, and the dogs they don't mind being in a kennel because it's comfortable, but they would rather be free outside. My dog, if he gets outside, he's going to run down the street, this, that, and the fourth. They want freedom, just like any living thing wants freedom. But you know what they're willing to give their freedom up over? A treat, something like this small, a treat. They don't want to be in a cage. If I tell them to get in the cage, they really don't want. They'll hesitate, but then they remember that treat that they're going to get. Black people have given up their freedom for something small, like a token, just like a dog, just like a pet, an animal. We have given up our freedom for a token, for a statue, for a street, for the promise of something that's literally never to come. Like if you look, and we talk about this all the time, it's a lot of people who live right next to Martin Luther King Boulevard, and they're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. And on Thanksgiving, after it's all said and done, after they ate, they go over their family's house and they get into a fight. After, you know, the young child has to sit next to their molester on Thanksgiving, there's going to be shootouts on Martin Luther King Boulevard. We have given our souls for trinkets, and we're going to continue to do that unless we there's no reason to give up your heritage, something that's greater than anything on this earth that can be given to you by a man. You're going to give that up to celebrate another man's victory over your people? Somebody slays my cousin, and I go to their party and I celebrate it? Like, what was done to us was so evil and heinous. And then they teach us and brainwash us in schools and act like it was the Indians and the Pilgrims coming together to celebrate the fact that they put away their differences, when really it was about slaughter and mass genocide. And you're going to celebrate it, and you're going to say, you know, the slave master gave me a day off at work. You are a dog. You're a pet if you do that. I'm sorry. It has to be said. And I was acting just like that when I was in the world. I was giving up everything for trinkets. But after a certain point in time, the Most High put it in my mind, like, why am I giving up my being? Why do I have to keep being in conflict with being black for a white Jesus? Because you should realize that the holiday has nothing to do with you. It's about destroying your people. Even Christmas, even the way they celebrate Christmas now is pretty much predicated on the fact that the the Moors were literally destroyed in Spain and Granada by the Pope. And we just celebrated. Like the gifts that they were overjoyed to give each other after they destroyed us, we give to each other now, and we think that's a good thing when it's not. I just want to read a little bit of Joel, and we're gonna get up out of here. Let me see, because this is what these other nations that celebrate all of the wickedness in the earth. This is what's coming to them, and I just want to read something real quick if I can find it. I'll just read real quick. Joel, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is going to take place over in Israel. This is what's to come. And this is something that's coming towards the people that have destroyed us. Don't be caught being a coon in this day. You don't want people like me being in power and see you being a coon. And then there's a directive given to deal with you promptly. I'm not threatening nobody. I'm saying the Most High is going to do it. Christ is going to do it. But don't be a coon in this day. Turn away from being a tap dancing whore for the oppressor. Please stop celebrating these holidays. Don't the scriptures say that, in the great and terrible day of the Lord, that they're going to throw their idols in the caves with the moles and the bats? Don't wait till that day. Go ahead, sir.
I think if I may, what you're dropping is heavy. Made me think about something. It's like that scripture where it says I know I'm paraphrasing, but it says, woe to them that call evil good or something like that.
Damn right.
Because it's like that's what we've took. Like it's like we always try to like make everything into like a positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's because we know that it's bad. We know that it's all bad. But we'll try to make it into a positive. If we vote for a president, we say, oh, well, we'll just vote for the lesser of the evil. We'll change it into that. When it comes to Thanksgiving, it's like, well, I know it's all about, the native Indians getting smallpox and getting genocided and thrown on reservations. But it's just a time where we can get together and have a family get together. And it's like, as if you can't have a family get together any time of the year,
Exactly.
Oh, we know Christmas. We know Christ wasn't born on Christmas, but it's just a time for the kids to get a gift. And it's like, we always try to like make something positive that's negative. You know what I mean? Instead of just seeing it as just something that's negative, even if it's something that continuously makes you broke. Like if there's not one thing that America does to black people is it makes us broke. Now, if it's not making you broke, but every single time you step out the house, there's a draw on your pockets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you make it back in the house with a fraction of what you went out the house with, then you had a good day. But in the midst of all of that, of constantly every single day, the cops is trying to get your money, the red light cameras is trying to get your money, the job, the taxes is trying to get your money. You go and take the little bit of money you have left and kill it all on a $1,500 meal, for Thanksgiving. And then another month later, you kill all the money you have going to go buy tons of gifts or whatever that you don't have money for, all while the electricity is due, all while your, car insurance is due, all while, all the other bills that's stacking up to the roof. But you have to do it because if you don't do it, then you will be considered like a bad person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you would be considered, oh man, I'm leaving my son out or I'm leaving the kids out. And the oppressor understands this, and this is like why I don't understand why a lot of us can't even understand the play when we get played every single year. Every single year, at some point, you got to know, like, damn, I'm getting played here. Let me not keep getting played. You know what I'm saying? But it's like we never will wake up because, well, I'm not going to say we won't wake up because there's a lot of brothers and sisters that have woken up and that have, changed their lives for the better, of course. But, for a vast majority, I'll say that, are still, believing. You know what I mean? Right. Like, even when I see a grown man over 40 with a costume on, that's crazy. Salakia. That's crazy. I see a grown man that's got grays in his beard. He got the salt and pepper beard with a costume on Halloween. Like, at some point, we have to grow up. You know what I mean? At some point, you got to grow up. You know, do you like when you look at like the leadership? I'm gonna be off of it. But when you look at like leadership in America, or you know, I'm talking about like the oppressor. You know what I mean? I'm talking about not no bull, no. You know, you mainly see like people that you know wouldn't put on no costume and they don't play those types of games. You know what I mean? Because at the top level, it's a little bit more serious when it comes to you know strategy.
Right.
But it's just like, man, I tell you, man, when it comes to our people, it's like we're like children in America. We're still playing games. You 40-something years old, still smoking weed on the internet. Like, I will say this: it's an uphill battle. And Lord allow, you know what I mean, through the strength and the power of the Most High in Christ, man, you know, we can convince our brothers and sisters, you know, to come out of that lifestyle and start, you know, following the Lord and leaving Thanksgiving and these holidays alone.
Con out of one con. And if I could, Joel's only going to take me a couple minutes, but what you said can be literally summed up in like a few words. And I love this scripture because, like you said, people always try to take like something evil. Like you try to take like a massacre and turn it into something good. You try to take, you know, lying about Christ being born in the winter and the Pope destroying black people back in it might even been 1492, right when Christopher Columbus set sail. You want to take that and be a good thing. You want to take the fact that the Most High said, do not put a tree up in your house and decorate it. And you want to say, no, but we doing it for Jesus. In Job 14:4, it says, who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. That's a few. You should know if it was unclean to begin with, you can't make it clean. You can't make it some joyous holiday to celebrate with your family. They destroyed and just put like Christopher Columbus, before he started that whole thing, which turned into all of these different events, and Thanksgiving one of them, he was the cause of mass rapings. He was the cause of mass, and you think you're going to take that and turn it into something good because you eating some dry ass turkey, salakia. You eating some dry turkey with stank at, excuse me, salakia. I'm starting to get mad with him, salakia. But you taking that dry turkey and you eating with family members that you don't even really like because you had a day off, because they're promoting it, because the oppressor, your father, the devil, is doing it. Instead of saying, you know what, let's have a barbecue. Let's have a barbecue. And don't bring no pork to the barbecue. But let's have I love barbecues. Go ahead, sir.
What's that Friendsgiving thing?
It's pretty much the same thing. They just do it with their friends because everybody can't separate on Thanksgiving. I remember my coworkers kept trying to get me to go to it, but it's pretty much Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving because they know they can't, you know, everybody can't, like, they want to go with their family. So it's just like a pre-Thanksgiving. I remember almost like 10 years ago, my coworkers was like, yo, we having a Friendsgiving at my house. You want to come? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't do that. They were like, nah, it's not Thanksgiving. It's Friendsgiving. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But you just doing it because all of y'all want to be with your families on Thanksgiving. So you're having a Thanksgiving with your friends on that day.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty much what the spirit of that is. It's just like a pre-Thanksgiving. But that's what I'm gonna get off it too. But there's this neighborhood that has a back to school event around my way, and I never go to it because I'm not from that neighborhood, but I know a lot of the people in it. But I got two friends, and my rib grew up in that neighborhood. It's a wild neighborhood. But finally, one of my boys got me to come out to the event. He was like, yo, we have an event. And when I was around him, even though, you know, black people were doing the wrong thing, the essence of what they were doing was not rooted in any holiday, because there was still people out there smoking weed. It was still, you know, some things going on. But I saw some of the older people, they really corrected the younger people that if somebody tried to fight, man, the older people was on it. The parents, they was on it. If somebody was doing something out of pocket, and the spirit that we need to be in is let's create something of ourselves. If you got a neighborhood and you want to do something for the kids and something for, man, it was food, it was all this stuff, and it wasn't something as, you know, glorious. And I'm not going to put it down because it was great in the essence of it. It wasn't something that was as glorious as like one of the events that we would do that's based on something that the Most High would do, but it was something that I saw in the world, and I was like, okay, there is a little bit of hope for our people. There's a little bit of hope, because this is not something that was like Thanksgiving, Halloween. It was cool. And then everybody had their houses, like the front, they had their houses. Like imagine a neighborhood and the whole street has like food and drinks and this, that, and the fourth. And I'm seeing people from when I was younger that I ain't seen in like 15, 20 years. You know, I'm seeing people that, you know, I may have had an issue with, but the issue don't even matter no more. Because we in that right now, and it was cool. And I'm like, man, I probably should have came a couple years ago, but you know, in the world, you got a different mind. But that's what we need to be doing. We need to have those type of events, like a block party, and make sure whoever is running it, this, that, and the fourth, ISUBK, man, we can do that. But Salaki, let me get to it, and then I'll finish us out. All right, this is Joel 3 in chapter 2. I will also gather all nations. We talked about earlier how we think that the punishment, because it doesn't come swiftly, we think that we can keep doing evil. The heart of man is set on wickedness, but the Most High is going to gather every single nation. And he's talking about those soldiers. He's going to gather them into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is over in Israel. And he will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. I believe it's also called the valley of decision, right, sir? And will plead with them for my people and for my heritage, Israel. There's two parts I want to address on that real quick. Number one, when the Most High is pleading with you, he's not pleading like a beg. He's pleading with fire and nuclear warfare. He's pleading with brimstone and destruction. Like his pleading is going to be something that you can't refuse. You know how a boss says, I got an offer you can't refuse. This is the Most High saying, I'm going to plead with you, but the pleading is going to be something that, you know, the human nervous system, the body, and even the earth around it's not going to be able to handle. Because when them nuclear bombs drop in that day, it's going to be an issue. For my people and for my heritage, Israel, the Most High is calling us his heritage. That's why it's important. Ain't they talking about now, like, what does it even matter? Because they're so caught up in replacement theology. Like, oh, it don't even matter if you an Israelite. They saying it doesn't even matter. But the Most High is saying in those days, it's going to matter. Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right now, those people that look like Europeans, they got that land. They got it. They're even destroying other people who occupy it and taking it back. So it's not them. And they're not scattered around the earth the way we are. We're scattered without power. That's what it's talking about. All right, let me go down a little bit more. Verse 4. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your head? I'm going to break it down real quick, and then we're going to be off of it. What this is talking about is at the end of time, the Most High is going to gather every single nation into this place. And there's going to be war all over, but this is a very important part of it. And the leaders of this earth who you thought were so powerful, who are so wicked today, they are going to be destroyed. And the Most High, for all that has been done to the North American Indians, all that has been done to the Mexicans, other Hispanics, that has been done to Black people, that has been done to the Haitians, the West Indians, all of that is going to be answered on this day. That thing that you wanted to be done so speedily, or that thing that you took for granted for punishment that wasn't done speedily, it's going to happen on this day. Turn away from it now so you can say, you know, I stood with the Lord. Because in that day, you will not be able to stand. In that day, the Most High may not have grace and mercy. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get the, okay, no sweat. All right. Shalom, Lord in Christ. We're going to go ahead and close out. The water for tuning into the class.